the month. Our 5th Sunday family service, and we have the youngsters with us today. Thank you all for being here. We've been traveling the prosperity journey this month as part of our season of abundance. And today we complete this particular focus by asking the question, are we there yet? Show of hands, how many of you have asked that question at some time in your life? Summer vacation, right? Backseat of a car. When you think back on that question and those experiences, did you ever get a satisfactory answer? Or was the response something like, in a little while, not quite, almost, just around the next corner? Now, whether that almost response came from a parent or grandparent or older sibling, or from an intuitive voice, that God self within, you knew there was more to travel, farther to go, that you weren't done yet. For many of us, probably most of us, we have this desire to complete things, to finish projects, a certain level of education, or bring a job to a neat, tidy close before moving on to the next one, or retirement. That's the ideal our human ego often brings to mind along any journey of expression or travel. And many times, we can feel that satisfaction of completing something, of finally arriving to there, wherever there is. We go on a particular city trip or a destination we have in mind. We go from point A to point B, and we know we have arrived. It's complete. We take numerous classes and courses and study under a variety of teachers, and eventually, if we're persistent, we complete it with our degree, certification, credential. We know we're done because we have that paper in our hand. Another example is through our jobs and careers. We may start out in an entry-level position as a teenager or a young adult, and then as we gain more experience, there's something in us that seeks to achieve jobs or roles that are more challenging, more complicated, that pay more or have different titles, different recognition. Or we decide to be multi-vocational and sample a number of different careers throughout our lifetime, complementary in our mind. They all fit together, and this variety helps us better express the person we are from one stage of life to the next. This question, are we there yet, also applies to our prosperity journey. On the prosperity journey, our arrival, so to speak, might be tied to our job or income. It might have to do primarily with the lifestyle we choose, what possessions we own, the size and location of our home, the bank account balance, or any number of material things we value or utilize, facilitate, are stewards of in this material world, this physical world. All these things are creative energy manifested in its various forms. We get to use them, be good stewards of them. Yet they change or fade or disappear or transmute into something else as we go along over time. We don't get to take them with us when we go. We get to use them while we're here on this physical plane. It can be fun or worrisome, depending on our attachment to or use of them. The idea of prosperity varies from one person to the next because it's a matter of consciousness. All of these examples are a few ways to explore a spiritual path, God expressing through and as us in form. And our thoughts, feelings, attachments in use of those forms. Every person has the choice of what is important as an expression of their life. Each of us gets to decide what the value is of those possessions that we keep or use in our lives. Each one chooses what to keep or share or discard or replace. Every individual determines the priorities, the choices, the destinations of his or her journey of prosperity, and when they have finally arrived. So what does arriving look like? Quick example. Some of you may have seen my pictures on social media this past week. Like many people this time of year, I've been working in the backyard again, between rainstorms, to freshen up the landscape, make it a bit prettier, clean up the weeds and the dead branches. This past week, I put down 77 bags of bark mulch in my backyard. That number's important to me. Covered up the bare spots and the warm spots around the borders and the garden areas. What I know with every fiber of my being, other than I'm never going to do it in that pace again, is that no matter how much I do in that backyard, it will never be done. I will never have arrived at a point of completion. Others may see it. But the thing is, in my mind, and with the creative ideas that continue to grow in it, there is always something more that can be done. More weeds to pull, more trees to trim, seeds and flowers to plant, another this or that to be added or removed. However, with each stage of project completion, I feel content with what's been done. I feel prosperous when I get to view the beauty and experience the serenity that I've created there. Whether it was through doing the work or resting afterward for hours at a time, walking around to explore the vegetation and marvel at the beauty of nature and the way things grow, or sitting on the deck having my coffee and just looking out over the backyard. I feel prosperous in that moment. Another example is when, after I tithe and pay all the bills every couple of weeks, and there's still money left in the bank. It wasn't always that way. I get a feeling of contentment and a sense of satisfaction knowing that I've been a good steward of the family financial resources, and that I'm in the universal flow of life. I feel prosperous. So I invite you to think about this topic. Reflect or reevaluate what your definition of prosperity is. Do it from time to time. What does prosperity look like in your life right now? And it changes, doesn't it? Is it a big 401k? A loving and vibrant relationship? Maybe a cabin in the mountains? Taking a fun vacation each year? A successful business or career? What about getting to go visit your kids or your parents or your grandkids anytime you want? Being able to have coffee on your deck in the morning or the evening. Working a part-time job rather than a full-time job. What does prosperity mean to you? Now, while the idea of prosperity can vary in meaning and demonstration from one person to the next, abundance is a spiritual principle. It never wavers. It's always the same. Abundance is abundance, period. Abundance is a principle. It is always available. It can apply to everything and everyone, utilized by everyone. All those different forms of prosperity I just mentioned come out of abundance principle. It's there for humans, animals. There's abundance in nature, the stars and the planets, and so many other examples. It's available to all equally, and it's infinite, unlimited abundance. So you never have to worry about running out of the principle of abundance. Just like you don't have to worry about running out of the principle of gravity or the principle of electricity. At least I hope you don't worry about running out of those things. Abundance Prosperity is how much of that abundance shows up in our lives as form. Whether we own it, feel it, share it, see it, or simply aware of it. Do you see the difference? One reason it's helpful to look at these two words or ideas and define them clearly is that we can use them as an example in how to create in our lives, whatever it is we choose to create, and create again and more of. In Science of Mind philosophy, we teach about the importance of having clarity when it comes to what you desire in your life, and then to focus on the principle behind that desire. To come from that divine truth, not the form. And do your part in its creation. Plus allow some space for God to work as well in spirit time. And we can look around the world and we can see all kinds of examples of prosperity. And maybe we want to create that or attract that into our life. So we focus on abundance principle. One of the many attributes of God. And then by focusing on our desire with faith, the creative juice in the equation, we create a spiritual conduit to bring such things into our lives. Our faith and prayers connect the divine power to our earthly desires. It's done unto us as we believe. As we give, we receive. So our focus and faith lays out the path so such forms of prosperity can find us and manifest in our lives. This is the process that we can apply between any spiritual principle and our desires and thoughts. Whether the principle is love, or joy, or harmony, or peace, or wholeness, or more. We get to do our part in demonstrating the abundance principle in our lives in various forms of prosperity. So that might mean working a job and earning money, or giving of ourselves in some way through service or donations. We start the process, as Yvonne mentioned in her reading. Creating space in our lives. Maybe it's time to declutter so that you have space to welcome in new stuff. I'm in the process of that too. We create a void, and as we say in religious science, spirit loves a void. We can fill it up with greater and better things. We can be in the universal flow of abundance consciousness at any and all times. It's up to each person individually. When creating prosperity in my life, I like to use the phrase, this or something better. Because I know I don't have all the answers as to how things happen. I only have mine and maybe some suggestions from the people around me, or what I read, or research, or learn along the way. But I trust that God, Spirit, Divine Intelligence, has all the answers. And I can tap into that. I can be open to the infinite possibilities of creating through the consciousness I have, through the thoughts that I have in mind. I can and will do my part to create what I want to experience in my life. You can bet on that. Just like I know you will create what you want in your life, what you focus on the most. At the same time, what I've learned, it's so much easier and more magnificent when I open myself up, my mind, my life, my experiences, when I allow room for God. When I focus on the what and let Spirit take care of the how. Every one of us has the same opportunity, the same privilege to co-create with the divine. Another thing I know to be true for every human on this planet is the ever-present nudging that comes from Spirit, from life, to grow and express. It's in each of us. Our bodies grow physically from the moment we're conceived, and then even more so after we're born. Our human mind, the brain, takes in information on
mind that is always on. And the God power behind this physical earth suit, this body, that keeps it breathing and beating and healing and moving. It's incredible. I became very aware of the power of this body during that mulch moving process. We don't have to do anything at all for that body stuff to work so that we can live and move in this earthly realm. It does it on its own. We take care of it, we nurture it, yes. But we don't have to tell our arm to lift up, it just does it. Or our legs to move, or our heart to beat. And I find that amazing and an incredible gift. Every day for this principle of healing and wholeness and life. Our bodies grow and change, and so does our consciousness. None of you has the exact same level of consciousness that you had when you were born, or a toddler, or 10 years old, or a teenager, or a young adult, or last week. Your consciousness grows every day. As you have learned, you have evolved. And you continue to do so throughout your lifetime. Sometimes it's through being in the right or wrong place at the right time. Or it's through some intentional learning about a particular subject, or gaining new skills or talents to do certain tasks. You learn every day, don't you? And then there are those times when you are inspired, when that still small voice of the divine downloads something instantly and you just know. And you've got it in consciousness, and you listen to it, and all of a sudden you know, what? You've got to be kidding. And yet you know in your heart that this message is another way for you to grow and evolve. To be more of what you already are, inside and have always been. A divine child of God. A human expression of divine spirit with infinite capabilities. Infinite capabilities. That's you. You may not have all the answers at once, but you are always given enough information to take the next right step on your journey. Always. And whether you take that step or not, you have free will to decide. You get to choose. Some of you are eager to move forward. Some of you resist for as long as you can. But Spirit will persist in its messages for you to grow. I have found it much easier and certainly more pleasant to listen to Spirit, preferably the first time, without all the yeah-but objections, without waiting for the cosmic 2x4 to get me moving. Being God-guided also means I get to evolve higher, to move to the next step more quickly and easily and gracefully. It's usually a lot more fun, too. Plus, the thing I know to be absolutely true for all of us is that we will never stop evolving and growing. And we'll never fully get there. The nudging won't stop. Even if we're able to silence the God voice for a while, it just waits. Like the electrical outlet just waits for you to plug in. It's just sitting there waiting for us to connect with its presence, with its messages, with its voice, with its knowing. You and I are sparks of God. Mini lights of the eternal flame. Pieces of the puzzle, or as Dr. Sarah called it last week, the organs in the body of God. I love that phrase. Together, all of us, and the rest of creation, are God in expression. You and I are part of that oneness, part and the free will to discover what that purpose is. We will always have something more in us to express, or to learn, or to grow into. I actually find that quite comforting, to be able to become a greater expression of myself each day and know that there is still more to be discovered, that I'll never graduate from this school of life. I'm never done. It's a nice idea, don't you think? Whether it's the journey of prosperity or the journey to self-knowing or the journey of life discovery, there's always something more to be revealed. We can complete stages of growth, arrive at different levels of awareness, and then the next and the next will be revealed. We are constantly growing and at the same time perfect where we are right now. Holmes tells us God is complete and perfect, and that the Spirit of truth is complete within us and always satisfied. This tells me the principles and the oneness are complete as they are in each moment of expression. We get to use the principles and are a part of that oneness of God, but we're complete in this moment. Holmes also says this conscious unity makes our mind receptive to completion, since life itself is complete. This perception is always in inner light, for the individual can use only such knowledge as he inwardly possesses. In reality, we know God or truth only as we ourselves embody God or truth. And since it is impossible to embody anything outside ourselves, this knowledge must be an inner light. Life itself is complete. Absolutely. And the light of awareness must come from within. We can acknowledge how far we've come and where we'd like to go and be aware of the process, the journey of discovery along the way. And we can be assured with absolute knowing that while there's always more to learn and discover and share who we are complete in this moment. We have arrived in this moment. Be here now, as Ram Das says. Throughout the Bible, which is a source of inspiration for many people in this world, it's written to be fruitful and to multiply. This can refer to having children, being productive in our jobs or our businesses, developing our talents and skills, and so much more. I believe it also applies to our ideas and our lives, to be fruitful in thinking creatively and to foster and use the creative principles, including the abundance principle, the extravagance of the universe, in every aspect of our lives, to develop our awareness about anything that we're concerned about or focused on, and to multiply and expand our human and spiritual consciousness about it, so we can continue to grow and live and be the best expression of who we are in any moment. Before we move on to the next realm of being, whatever that looks like, who knows? Maybe in that next existence, when it arrives, we might still get to ask the question, are we there yet? And learn some surprising answers. Until then, we can take it one step, one day at a time. Avoid the holes in the road along the way. Live life the best we can and enjoy the journey. Let's have a prayer.